Hello, everyone. Good to see you. Just grabbing my stuff here. School went later than usual. Usually on Mondays we are done by like 11 and not so much today. It must be like the fourth week of the term or something because things are starting to we're out of all the newness and freshness. So how are you guys all today, and how are your Mondays so far? Okay, you could put it there, but please close the door. Just put it on the bed. Can you all see and hear me? I'm not seeing any response, so then that makes me nervous. It says I'm live. Yay, okay, good. So, yes, we are going to talk about simplified productivity, which is possible even on those days that don't go the way we planned, because we just roll with the punches. We do the right next thing, not necessarily the thing we wanted to do next. And, just figure out how to use the time the best we can. So today that meant not going grocery shopping sometimes I fit in a quick run to the grocery store at about 11 and I'm back while because the kids can get their own lunch now. So timing there isn't essential, but that didn't happen today because I had checking work to do because there was work that wasn't done. So there are several people's days in this house that are not going as planned. Which just shows us all that we need to do the right thing use our time for what it's supposed to be used for and not what we wanted to do necessarily. Okay, so today we are going to talk here about the, hello, Heather, the daily card. And I brought mine, I grabbed it just in time. And at least did check off the things that have been done today. So I don't know about you, but when I make to-do lists, they're super long. And I have to-do lists all over the place. I have, project lists and just random to-do lists, brain dump lists that include things to do and other stuff, random stuff. The to-do lists can easily multiply. And if you have to filter through all the lists, like look through all the items on your list and decide, okay, what am I going to do next? What should I do next? And there are just so many things that it's a project to figure out what the next thing is. Well, then that's not conducive to productivity. We want to plan in planning mode. It's a different way of thinking. It's a mindset, a mode to be in where you're thinking big picture, what's next? And then in the middle of the day, you want to be in doing mode, in worker bee mode. I know the planning mode is my favorite also, but then we need to be in doing mode during most of the day for those plans to actually happen or do us any good. So if you have to shift back into planning mode to decide what to do next, or you have to shift into planning mode frequently during the day, then you are shutting down your doing energy, basically. It's not conducive to just going through the flow of your day and responding well to the interruptions. When you're in doing mode, it's a lot easier to roll with the punches and just respond to what's in front of you right now, because that's what doing mode is for. Planning mode hates to be interrupted because planning mode is it's really creative work, actually, using your brain to imagine, figure. So you don't do that well being interrupted when you're in planning mode, and it's frustrating, and more frustrating than if you were doing life in doing mode. So we need to reserve our times for planning mode because it's important that we do have planning mode time. But then we need to block off the biggest chunks of our day for doing. And one of the ways that we can do that is to have a small, short list for what to do next. And I call that the MIT list, most important things. And I didn't make that up. I saw that several other places. And I have a post that I meant to link to, but didn't, on MITs, and what it means, and a couple links to other people using that phrase. So I'm going to show you. That usually means, most people use that to mean your top 3 items for the day. And of course, you're going to do more than 3 items, but these are the most important things. These are the things where if you do them, you get to count the day as a success. So you don't make a list of 20 items and get through 5 of them and say, well, because like you did 5. That's really good, especially if those 5 were the important things that you really needed to get done that day. So you need to make a list that shows you, yeah, you did the important things today, so you get a gold star. And you need a list with those things called out, like bigger in front of your face, so that when the interruptions are coming, the different possibilities are popping into your head, you have a quick place to glance and say, these are my priorities for the day. Is this interruption that came up, is this idea that popped into my head more important than what I put on this list? And if not, then I have to finish this list first. So I use mine. I used to use an index card, and I have several posts on my blog about the index card. But right now, I'm using a Post-it note, partly because it's smaller. You can see I have more than 3 things on here. So it's making a list of 3 just really kills me. So I make 3 lists of 3. That's better, right? So having it on the Post-it note still restrained me because you can, I can fit so much on an index card. An index card is small, but I can also write small. And so I can fit a lot onto an index card. So I went even smaller. It's a 3x3 inch Post-it note. So it's all 3s. So it's still great, right? Because that's like complete. So 3 3s on a 3x3 index card. It's all coming together. So I still draw the lines the same way I did when I was using an index card, where I write the date up on the top, the day of the week and the date. So then that helps me keep track of time. Sometimes that's necessary, where I am on the calendar. The more 3s, the better, right? So, and then I draw a line down the middle for 2 columns. Let's see where the best way to focus this is. And this side right here are the school things. So if these 3 school things are done, then it was a good school day. And I can only put 3 on this column. So what are the 3 most important things? A lot of times we have big chunks, big ticket items for the school day. Like some morning time is always on the list. And then sometimes there's a class, there's elementary lessons or something. That's one chunk, a chunk of time. And then sometimes it's Geneva, my 4-year-old, and her couch time, which really doesn't take long, but it's also easy to put off. Or that might get replaced with something like Latin tutoring with my middle Latin students. Now they're just starting out, so I need to remember that they might need more intentional help. They're not really ready to be independent at all. So I've got to keep that on. Big thuds. Ominous. So someone might need more intentional help. So that person that really needs tutoring time that day, their name will usually go on here, maybe with a short note with what they need help with, just as a reminder to myself. Then this list on the other side is usually online things that I want to do that day, a post that I'm working on writing, whatever I want to get done with online stuff. But today, Mondays, my focus is getting ready for the week and my classes. So I have class prep up there and an extra printed thing that I want to have ready for our elementary lessons. And then there are 4 there. So I'm really I do not know what I don't know if you can hear that big thumping, but it sounds like the house is falling apart. Okay, good. There's like a spot for it on the Happy Planner. That's awesome. Yeah, lists all over the place, and then nothing happens. So the sticky note is nice because it can just go on my clipboard. Or another thing, one place I used to keep it when I had a mostly digital and I wasn't using my clipboard, I would still make the Post-it note to-do list and I'd stick it on the back of my phone. So actually it would be like this and then fold it over, folded. So you could just see the date on it. And then I had this in my pocket and I always had my to-do list there. Turns out I still had to use it, still had to look at it in order to use it. But that was a pretty handy place to know my list was always right there, which especially when my plans were all digital and on my phone, then I had the little basic to do today, most important things right there at a glance, instead of having to tap, tap, tap to find them on the phone. Now I'm using the clipboard thing and back to my clipboard. And I have a weekly planner page. And so there's a spot left right here for my sticky note to go. So, and I have a chat like this and a post about my weekly planner on the clipboard there that you can find. So then on the bottom, I break the bottom into 3 little rectangles and put the house homemaking sort of things that I want to get done that day, the focus. So at some point I do need to go to the grocery store and I want to spend an extra few minutes in my bedroom today because it kind of got exploded. And then Monday is usually the catch up laundry day because after the weekend, things got out of hand almost always. So usually on Monday, I spend a little extra time on laundry. So then I can have this note and just keep working through it and know that these are the things I need to get done today. So I see that there are questions. I'm going to look at those. When do you pick 3 things for the day? Okay, morning of or the night before? Ideally, it would be the day before. So before bed, I try to go over my list and give myself all the little check marks that I can because I have my different routines and all the stuff. Like my weekly thing has a lot on it. So I check, and some of this just happens sometime during the week. So I look through and say, okay, did I do that this week? Did I read a book? Which book? So I have my list of current reads. And so I can see, I'm actually reading my books I have currently reading. Am I doing my morning and evening routines, that sort of thing. So I go through and give myself as many checked off boxes as I can and look at today's list and then make my next list. And then with that, seeing what I got done that day, what I didn't get done that day, and looking at the calendar for the next day, that's the time where I make the best list for the next morning, for the next day. Because I have a much more realistic idea of how my days are actually going right now, what didn't get done that really needed to, and so it needs to be the top priority for tomorrow. It's a little bit more fresh. The school day, who do I need to pay most attention to tomorrow, that sort of thing. I personally make a better list the night before because I'm a lot more realistic. Whereas in the morning, I'm a morning person. If I make my morning list with my cup of coffee and everyone's on track in the morning, because we're just starting out, or it's, not everyone is even up yet, so it's nice and quiet, then I start to feel like anything's possible. And I make usually too many things, even on an index, even on a Post-it note. And I make a hopeful list, an overambitious list. But if I didn't make it the night before, because I still don't have that as a strong habit, because our evenings can be pretty varied. They're not as regular as the morning. So if it didn't happen the night before, then I make it the morning of. I know, I set a timer for evening review. I need to also. I've tried, but I actually just haven't found the exact right time. I think the best time would be after we call it the 7 o'clock crew, after the youngest kids are in bed, which happens sometime between 7 and 7:30. So it's like after saying goodnight to them, that should be the next thing I do. So there's a trigger. I think that would be the best spot because they're always going to go to bed. So yeah, coffee gives me illusions of grandeur. Exactly. All right. Okay. I know you recommend keeping your tasks and projects organized by vocation in your task manager. Do you cull a list for the week that really needs to be done that week? I tend to lose track of the tasks when they're separated into different vocations. When making my daily Post-it, I feel like I need a master list for the week to reference. Yes. So you need to pull, you can try different things and figure out what works for you. I've tried several different things, and it's not like there's one right way. There's, as far as what kind of lists you keep going. So I think for storage of ideas, for reference, for tasks, I think that vocation organization is best, because then you can see if you're keeping a balance. But I really like things categorized. And so that's my filter for categorizing things. In a way, even my daily note is organized by vocation, even though there are 3 sections, because this is always school. So this is educator. And these are the things that need to be done this day. And this is usually the home stuff that needs to be done. So that's homemaker. So in a way, this is sorted by vocation, because at this point, that's just the way that I think. So it makes sense to put like things together. Let's see. I think I actually accidentally pulled off my interval sheet here. I did. So I make a 1-page reference per interval of what the focuses are for this interval, the projects, the things that need to be done, the random tasks. If there's a birthday, break down all the things that need to happen for the birthday. So for the next 6 weeks, kind of everything's broken down, and I can add to that. It's on the clipboard. So if something comes up, there's space to jot it in there. And that's broken down by vocation, because I want to think through, okay, are my vocations in balance? Like, am I pouring all my focus into one area of life to the neglect of others? When I'm pulling out what needs to happen for the next 6 weeks, I want to see that my different vocations are all covered. So that list is sorted by vocation, but printed out and on my clipboard. The weekly list has those routines, like morning and evening routine, morning review and evening review, those sorts of things that are not necessarily broken down by vocation. And then also what needs to be done this week, which I pull from the interval list and also my task manager if something popped up. So yeah, Todoist is great. I use OmniFocus, but that's a Mac only. And also I used Remember the Milk for a long time, and that's still around and still free and still good. Todoist is great. It's better on the not free version. So you can use it. You can use Todoist. Trello is great for routines and for recurring things or organizing projects, but not as great for popping up reminders, like so, or annual sort of tasks, which is what I really use the task manager for the most, which is just the reminders, the pop-up. So things like for the state, we have to file a letter of intent with the school district. So I just have that as a recurring thing in August. So that pops up in front of my face and I don't have to be tracking that in my head. So that sort of thing. If it needs to pop up and be done at a certain time, then it's in the task manager and I will look at that. I try to look at that every day, but at least during the weekly review, and the notifications pop up on my phone. So I'll at least see it on the day it's due. Okay, can you link to your clipboard again? I can. See, I haven't seen that. My people that often help me with that sort of thing, I haven't seen that they're here. So let's see if I can. I don't know if I can talk and find it. So let's see. So the thing to remember with the daily list is that it's not for everything that has to be done that day. If you need the things that need to be, the little things that need to be done, the routines, if you're really trying to work on those and get those in place, or there are just the random tasks like mailing something, cashing a check, that sort of thing that need to happen sometime this week, but you're not sure what day exactly. It's not like it has to happen today. It just needs to happen sometime this week. Then those can be on a weekly list, whether that's something you print out or something that, I found it, or it's something that you putting it in here. Have on a planner page or on a reference page or in an Evernote note. There are all kinds of ways to do it. OmniFocus isn't free. Nope. But it is nice. It's pretty. Okay, nice. So the free Todoist is working great for you. That's awesome. And it's linked to Amazon Echo, so you can tell it your shopping list. That's really awesome. That's nice. Okay, so I linked to the clipboard. And let's see, I'll type that there also so it doesn't get lost. Oh, I hope that helps. And I don't know if you have any other questions. If there was a question in the chat box, I might have missed it. But that is my current daily list. And this works really, really well for me. Just making, and part of the helpful bit of this daily card is actually the writing of it. Because looking everything over and pulling out what matters most today, just that exercise and then writing it out helps bring the focus and the reminders that I need. So it works best when I look at it and actually work from it for sure. But half of the goodness of this index card comes in the making of it. Just the making of it is a good first step. So if you've made a card, but then you still need to build those habits of actually looking at it and working at it, you know, stick with it and keep practicing that. But the making of the card is part of the goodness, because writing things out by hand just puts it into your brain in a different way. And of course, it's the exercise of looking everything over and making those decisions. So it's this small time, like 5 minutes or less, where I'm quickly scanning everything over and pulling out what's most important today. And that exercise brings clarity and focus. So So try that out. If you need more step-by-step help, this is actually just one piece of within Work the Plan, which I know a lot of you are working through right now because we're doing an interval intensive kind of group accountability thing. So I thought it would be a good topic because we're jumping into the daily planning section. So this is my daily planning piece, and just writing out the card and making those decisions up front in planning mode helps me be in doing mode throughout the rest of the day. So thanks for joining me.